Welcome to our channel. Today we delve into the most dangerous wars in history and speculate on potential future conflicts that could shape our world. From the battlefields of World War II to the potential cyber battlefields of tomorrow, we'll explore the causes, consequences, and key players in these global conflicts. So let's embark on this exploration of war and peace together. World War II, the deadliest conflict in human history, engulfed the world from 1939 to 1945, leaving an indelible scar on humanity. This global conflict drew in over 30 countries. The scale of World War II was unprecedented, with fighting across multiple continents and oceans. Technological advancements resulted in unimaginable destruction. Over 70 million people perished, with civilians bearing the brunt of the violence. The United Nations was established in 1945 to prevent future conflicts and promote international cooperation. World War I, often called the Great War, raged from 1914 to 1918, centered in Europe. Triggered by the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, it ignited alliances and rivalries, plunging the world into war. The Central Powers, led by Germany, faced the Allied powers, including France, Russia, and Great Britain. The war introduced trench warfare, machine guns, and poison gas, resulting in millions of casualties. It led to the collapse of empires, reshaping Europe and the Middle East. The Treaty of Versailles in 1919 ended the war but imposed harsh penalties on Germany. The Vietnam War, a protracted and divisive conflict, raged from the 1950s to 1975, primarily in Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia. The war was rooted in the complex dynamics of the Cold War, with the communist North Vietnam supported by the Soviet Union and China, and the anti-communist South Vietnam backed by the United States and its allies. The United States' involvement in the Vietnam War escalated throughout the 1960s, with American troops deployed in large numbers to fight alongside South Vietnamese forces. The Vietnam War was characterized by guerrilla warfare, with the Viet Cong employing hit-and-run tactics against American and South Vietnamese forces. The war had a devastating impact on Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia, resulting in millions of casualties, widespread destruction, and long-lasting environmental damage. The Vietnam War ended in 1975 with the fall of Saigon, the capital of South Vietnam, to North Vietnamese forces. The Korean War, a conflict that erupted in 1950 and lasted until 1953, was a proxy war of the Cold War, fought between North Korea, supported by China and the Soviet Union, and South Korea, backed by the United Nations, primarily the United States. The war began with a surprise invasion of South Korea by North Korean forces, aiming to unify the Korean peninsula under communist rule. The United States, fearing the spread of communism, intervened militarily in support of South Korea, leading to a bloody conflict that drew in forces from multiple countries. The Korean War was marked by its brutality and high casualty rate, with millions of soldiers and civilians killed or wounded. Despite a ceasefire agreement signed in 1953, a formal peace treaty was never reached, and the two Koreas remain technically at war to this day. The Demilitarized Zone, or DMZ, a heavily fortified border between North and South Korea, stands as a stark reminder of the peninsula's division and the unresolved tensions of the Cold War. The Syrian Civil War, a devastating conflict that erupted in 2011, exemplifies the complexities of modern warfare and the devastating humanitarian consequences. The war began with peaceful protests against President Bashar al-Assad, but quickly escalated into a full-blown civil war, fueled by sectarian tensions and external interventions. The conflict involves the Syrian government, rebel groups, extremist organizations, Kurdish forces, and international actors. The war has caused immense suffering, with hundreds of thousands killed, millions displaced, and widespread destruction of infrastructure and cultural heritage. The conflict has also witnessed horrific human rights violations. The Syrian Civil War serves as a stark reminder of the human cost of conflict and the need for diplomatic solutions. As our planet's population continues to grow and the impacts of climate change intensify, access to essential resources like water, food, and energy will become increasingly strained, potentially leading to conflict and instability. Water scarcity, already a pressing issue in many parts of the world, is projected to worsen in the coming decades as climate change alters precipitation patterns and increases the frequency of droughts. Competition for dwindling water resources could spark conflicts between countries that share river basins or aquifers, as well as between communities and industries vying for access to this vital resource. Food security is also under threat, as climate change disrupts agricultural production, degrades soil quality, and increases the prevalence of pests and diseases. Rising food prices and shortages could lead to social unrest, political instability, and even conflict, especially in regions already grappling with poverty, inequality, and weak governance. Addressing resource scarcity requires a multi-pronged approach, including sustainable resource management, technological innovation, and international cooperation. In an increasingly interconnected world, geopolitical rivalries between major powers vying for influence, resources, and strategic advantage continue to shape the global landscape, creating potential flashpoints for conflict. The rise of China, the resurgence of Russia, and the shifting dynamics between traditional powers have intensified competition in key regions, raising concerns about the potential for miscalculation and escalation. The South China Sea, home to vital shipping lanes and potentially rich in natural resources, has become a focal point of geopolitical tensions, with China asserting expansive maritime claims that overlap with those of neighboring countries. The United States, while not a claimant in the disputes, has a strong interest in maintaining freedom of navigation and upholding international law in the region, leading to increased military presence and potential for confrontation. Eastern Europe, particularly Ukraine, has become a battleground for influence between Russia and the West. Cybersecurity is another domain where geopolitical rivalries are playing out, as states increasingly engage in cyber espionage, sabotage, and even attacks on critical infrastructure. As technology rapidly advances and our reliance on interconnected systems grows, cyber warfare is emerging as a significant threat to global security, with the potential to disrupt critical infrastructure, cripple economies, and sow discord within and between nations. Unlike traditional warfare, cyber warfare is characterized by its anonymity, low barriers to entry, and the difficulty in attributing attacks with certainty, making it a particularly challenging threat to address. Cyber attacks can take many forms, from stealing sensitive information through espionage to disrupting or disabling critical infrastructure like power grids, financial systems, and communication networks. Nation-states are increasingly developing offensive cyber capabilities, viewing them as a cost-effective way to project power, gain strategic advantage, and undermine adversaries without resorting to traditional military force. Cyber attacks can also be carried out by non-state actors, such as terrorist organizations, criminal groups, and hacktivists, often with the support or tacit approval of nation-states. Addressing the threat of cyber warfare requires a multi-pronged approach, including strengthening cyber defenses, deterring potential adversaries, and fostering international cooperation. The COVID-19 pandemic has served as a stark reminder of the devastating impact that infectious diseases can have on global health, economies, and social stability. The deliberate use of biological weapons, while prohibited by international law, remains a serious concern, as certain state and non-state actors may seek to acquire and use these deadly agents to sow terror, achieve political objectives, or gain a strategic advantage. Naturally, occurring pandemics like COVID-19 pose an equally significant threat, as the factors that contribute to their emergence, such as deforestation, wildlife trade, and climate change, continue to intensify. Strengthening global health security is paramount to mitigating the threat of biological weapons and pandemics. Throughout history, ethnic and religious tensions have been a persistent source of conflict, often exacerbated by political manipulation, economic inequality, and social discrimination. In many parts of the world, ethnic or religious groups compete for limited resources, political power, or social status. This competition can be exploited by political leaders or extremist groups to stir up grievances, mobilize support, and justify discrimination or violence against other groups. Social media and the internet, while powerful tools for communication and connection, can also be used to spread hate speech, incite violence, and recruit individuals to extremist ideologies. Promoting interfaith and intercultural dialogue, fostering empathy and understanding between different groups, and addressing socioeconomic inequalities that disproportionately affect minority communities are essential steps towards preventing conflict. Thank you for watching. Understanding the past and anticipating future conflicts is crucial for global stability. Addressing these challenges requires a collective effort from governments, international organizations, and individuals alike. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insightful content.